Sarab Patil says, guys, so what's the realistic expectation from LFC this season if we don't end up signing anyone based on last season and considering this being Slot's first season, another top four and a good cup run? Go on, Chris. What do you think?
I think he's probably about right. I think that's probably where I would expect Liverpool to
Without
go.
signings.
Without signings, yeah. And without losing players as well, therefore, I suppose. I think one of the things that we're going to have is some teething problems in the first few months of the season. I see that as absolutely the norm, and I'm braced for it myself and understand why. I hope that's not the case, by the way, but I think it's going to be the case. And then I think as we get to the business end of the season, we probably get better. And those points that we lost earlier on are counterbalanced by the extra points that we've won later on in the season. And it evens out around about the same, but I do think there's an opportunity where we get better. I think it's hard. It's going to be difficult for Liverpool to get better with no signings, but that can absolutely be the case. You know what it's like, you get a new manager in and you get a good start and all of a sudden you build up this head of steam and there's this togetherness within the squad that feel like they can't get beaten and no one's worked us out and all this type of stuff, and all of a sudden you could be fighting at the top of the table, and you know, we've got the players who can do that. You know, we've got the players who can win trophies and stuff. So yeah, I want Liverpool to sign players still. I want them to be integrated into the side, but I do think we'll be just as good, if not better, than last season regardless.
My thoughts on the signings thing is Wataru Endo is the greatest example of what we've been talking about for years and getting criticism for, like, defending Liverpool's transfer strategy of when you don't get the right player, it's fine. Like, but when you buy a stopgap, it's fine. Look, I thought that I enjoyed Endo last season. I warmed to him as the season went on. I wasn't impressed at the start, and by mid-season I thought he was really good, and I think but I did think that tailed off as well. If Liverpool are going to buy a number 6, which is what I think is the one that everyone would probably go, and I said this the season finished, I said you've got to look at Rodri and you've got to look at Declan Rice, and they're the two teams you're competing against. I think you need someone in that bracket of quality to be able to compete with City and Arsenal, because we had it in Fabinho before he fell off a cliff. City bought Rodri as a reaction to us having Fabinho, because that's what you needed all of a sudden. If you can't go out and get that, then I'm understanding of that, because you talk, I mean, Rodri is just stupid, isn't he? Stupid how good. I don't even think Declan Rice is on his level, if I'm being honest. I think he's fine. I think he's a good footballer, but I'm not sure he was £100 million didn't make him better than Rodri or as good as Rodri. So I think you have to be careful. And Endo is, for me, is the example of what happens if you don't get the right. And what we've seen so far is, I don't fully understand who plays where in our midfield just yet, because right now we've got a lot of lads who look more suited to the 10 than a double 8. But equally, I've seen Bajcetic on the ball look really good, even his passing's been a bit wild. I think Curtis Jones has looked really good on the ball in terms of turning it round. Szoboszlai okay, Gravenberch okay, so we've not seen McAllister playing there just yet. I don't think we have a clear understanding of what that sort of looks like, but if you could get a transformative 6, I don't really see what this squad lacks in any, other than more of something in particular.
No, I tend to agree. I think the needle moving signing will be the 6, albeit it'd be a 6 in inverted commas, because I don't think we need that destroyer. Me and Chris spoke about this earlier. It's more of
you
that.
Need a Rodri.
Yeah, you're more of the hype. I still, maybe even less of a Rodri. I think Rodri is that, but I think maybe even a more ball-playing one, if I'm being honest with you. More that hybrid, that do-it-all type midfielder. But I think you're right. I think that would be priority number 1 for me. I think as much as we talk about how much minutes or how many minutes does a 4th or 5th choice centre-back get, I think if Sepp van den Berg was to leave, I'd like to see us bring one in, but it would be a left-sided one to take some of the minutes off Virgil van Dijk and maybe even do a little bit of left-back, depending on what the picture looked like there by the end of the window. My only other sort of where I turn next in terms of transfers will be a backup to Mo Salah, because for me the drop off between, if it's not Mo Salah, who is it on the right wing, is massive. I know we've seen bits of Luis Diaz, I know we've seen bits of Diogo Jota, but A, I don't love either of them out there, and B, they could be playing elsewhere when that's happening, so that doesn't work. And then after that you're looking at Ben Doak and Kay Gordon, who are very, very young, very inexperienced, and have also been linked to loan moves away respectively themselves. So that'd be where I'd be DM, left-sided centre-half, and then back up to Mo Salah, because you need your back up to Mo Salah for the here and now, and we spoke before about managing Salah through a season a bit more, but also who knows where we are in 12, 18, 24 months from Mo. We're going to need to replace him
by January. We'll kind of know.
Well, yeah, exactly.
For the most part.
It's going to happen at some point.
Rodri got 9 goals and 13 assists last season.
Oh, he's a wonderful footballer.
You know what I mean? That for me is the bar.
Yeah, it is the bar. And where I would differ with Dan on that is I think Rodri's a 10 at defending and a 10 on the ball. And probably a 10 at attacking for midfielders as well.
Do you think he's that high?
I really do. I really do. Right?
He's unbelievable.
I think what we need is someone who's a 10 at the midfield and a 10 at the attacking. And if we could get away with an 8 defending, because I just don't think there's another Rodri out there.
Yeah.
But that gets us closer to them.
Yeah.
The defending's actually the least of the most important things
because
for me right now.
We play now.
Because the way that we're going to play.
He's not on his own so much.
And at some point, the guys doing all the analytical stuff and trying to find his targets might just put their hands up and go, there isn't one. Because Rodri's.
So what's the next best then is the question, isn't it?
Well, this is my point. I think we probably own a bunch of next bests. Is that at that point do you then just take your attention, as you say, go to the right wing instead and get someone. Obviously,
we've had loads of comments coming over the last 2 months. And I think the big thing to play devil's advocate or to play the comment section on this one, and maybe they'll correct me if I'm wrong here, is that a lot of the view is, but you can go out and get someone better than Endo, and that does improve us. Mm-hmm. Now, I take that point, and it might improve us, and it might not. Because it's just as big a risk as staying on your hand, isn't it? You know, you're on 16 in blackjack. Yeah, you can twist and get better, or you can get yourself knocked out.
Always become then the focus point that player you've signed isn't Rodri, isn't Declan Rice, and I totally agree with you that you can't compare Declan Rice to Rodri at the moment. You just can't. Yeah, as good as he is, Rodri's of a level all on his own. You go and spend 40 million on someone like a Zubimendi or someone like that, and they don't do it, and then the fans go, "Well, we just spent 40 million pound on a player, and he isn't what we needed." And
he's ultimately not the long-term option anyway.
It's a never-ending cycle of frustration born about the fact that Rodri's so good, and we can't bridge that gap.
But you know what Endo is? Endo is when we didn't sign Van Dijk, and it was the other Dutch centre half that Stefan de Vrij we were linked with at the time, and I was going, just buy de Vrij then, just buy him. And Jürgen come at the time and said, you know, we need to buy someone we've got good centre halves, and everyone scoffed, but like, you need to buy better than what you've got. Endo is what happens when you just buy de Vrij, and the point is that better than you can improve on Endo, but there's an argument I'm making is that most of the midfielders, if we're looking for lads who are good on the ball, we've got tons of lads who are really good on the ball. They're all better than Endo in that regard. We already own midfielders better than Endo. If you're going to go and spend the money, you don't want to spend 40 or 50 million pounds, and then next summer, it's all right with Endo because we'll get our money back on Endo. I think, you know,
we won't. It'll be fine because we can spend a lot,
or it'll be close enough. You know, you won't lose money on Endo, not in a significant way. But if you go and spend 50 and he's not right, then you're fucked. Because that's when you end up with your Lazamarkovic situation, your Balotelli situations, where you've got a bunch of guys who aren't of the level. You're buying squad players. Don't buy squad players. Buy first 11 footballers. And you know, I agree there should be someone out there. You can definitely improve in a couple of areas, but they've got to be. We need to spend proper money on this position. Or don't bother and spend it elsewhere. And
the big thing that I've sort of realised last week for myself is...
Quilani, says David Halling, yeah, absolutely.
Big thing I realised last week was I actually don't think that sort of destroyer 6 is going to be used in games against Arsenal and Manchester City. I think the general consensus is, you get a number 6 in the most important game of the season, he's going to be playing. Look at the way Arsenal pressed against us and how City press against us. The most important thing for Arne Slot is having the football. Yeah, and the best option of having the football is your best ball playing midfielder. And that is why Jorginho played the 6 in the big games exclusively last season, and Declan Rice moved further forwards. Jorginho is a shite 6 by comparison to Declan Rice, but he's better on the ball and he can get you building on the ball, and when you want to dominate the ball in big games, that's the player. So Alexis McAllister is going to play that in those big games. He's probably going to play it all season long, and someone alongside him who's just as good on the ball is more important than having Endo to get the ball back. It's just the way it is. So where do you go with that information? You go and buy a brilliant ball playing midfielder. Lose the 6 label all you want. That's what we're looking for. Someone to set the tempo for a football side.
Winning the ball back is anticipation in these sides. It's knowing where they're going to pass, what your opponents are going to do, and anticipating getting there and cutting off those passes far more than it is chasing someone down.
What did Maldini say about slide tackling?
Yeah, you basically if you're going to ground, you've already lost.
Yeah, that's what a 6 is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%.
In a ball playing side.
It's interesting because 12 months ago, the football club, the coaching staff, tried to pour water on, we might not buy a 6. Yeah. The fans have got this clamour for a 6. for 12 months, the football club haven't necessarily seen it that way. They actually said we might not buy at 6.
Yeah, and they've clearly been looking. You know, and with the market's insane for defensive midfielders. It has been for 18 months now. Liverpool have got prices and valuations and stuff, and they're prepared to play the game and play the market, and that's frustrating. And it's always frustrating when they do that. But we said it before, you know, there's brinksmanship involved in this. But if you wait and get it right, you get Van Dijk, and you wait and you get Alisson instead of going, you know, the start of the summer window, we're desperate for a goalie. Karius has had a nightmare in the Champions League final. We're prepared to run with Danny Ward as our goalie, you know, rather than go into the market and buy someone else there or thereabouts at that level.
Yeah, and then lie.
No, but the point is, when Alisson became available, they moved
Changed.
for Alisson.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And there's no point in going mad because we haven't got endless sums of money. We all wish we did, but we don't. So hopefully they'll continue to be so smart in that regard. But it's going
You might
back to
still
the
be waiting
question.
for the guy they bid 150 million for last season, for when the PSR stuff comes in, by the way.
Yeah.
Who I'm told was pretty handy alongside Alexis McAllister in a double pivot.
Yeah, it happens, doesn't it? But yeah, we'll have to. And just to go
When
back
Conor
to
Gallagher doesn't sign a contract or won't agree a contract with anybody, and they need to get rid of somebody else, and Liverpool come back in with the money on the table for Casado, that would be hilarious.
yeah, well, Tchouameni would be like, "Is there any chance now, mate? No. All right, fair enough.
You're happy there winning European
Trent's
Cup.
going to take your position. Just to answer Surab, I think Liverpool will buy a player, but something my dad said to me the other day, he went, you know, we could just do with just a sign and just to settle everyone down. I was like, that's where we're at. We're buying signings to quell our insanity on our anxiety. And so, you know, it's not about whether the right player, the right fit. We see this every year. Man United bought Ronaldo and everyone's heads fell off. I remember going, he's 100 years old and he's a knobhead and he doesn't fit how they play and how modern teams want to play anymore. It'll be a disaster. And, no, but they've done all this and he was shite, and it happens time and time again. Bah, just don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Just enjoy the footy.